Merry Christmas. Or should I have wished you a happy holidays? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Back a couple years ago, I was doing some Christmas shopping, and after buying a gift card for somebody, I turned to the clerk who had helped me and wished her a Merry Christmas. In response, she wished me a happy holidays, but it wasn't in that kind of like polite, happy, in the spirit of the season kind of a wish. It was more like she was correcting me, like she was deeply offended that I had wished her a Merry Christmas, and now she was scolding me, making sure that I would never do that to anybody else again, that I would always wish them a happy holidays instead. In our culture right now, there's a raging debate about whether during this season before Christmas, we should be wishing one another a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays. And while I'm not that bright, I am smart enough to know not to jump into the middle of that debate. However, I want to make one point that I think is innocent enough about this debate. The impulse to say Happy Holidays is a good impulse. That impulse to have us say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas is a really good impulse. It's born of a desire to make sure that nobody feels excluded during this season. In particular, people who don't celebrate Christmas, people for whom that's not their religious or cultural heritage, or just have no religious belief whatsoever. It's born of a desire to make sure that they feel included, especially during the season where what we're celebrating at Christmas is the all-embracing, all-inclusive love and joy of God. I heard a great homily a couple weeks ago where the priest was talking about a passage from the book of Isaiah. Isaiah is often read during the Advent season, the season leading up to Christmas. In churches, the passages from Isaiah are read often because not only do we celebrate the coming of Jesus 2,000 years ago in his birth, but during Advent, during this Christmas season, we as Christians look forward to his coming again, the second coming. And the passage from Isaiah that this priest was talking about, preaching on that day, happened to be a passage that pointed to the Messianic age, the end of time, when Jesus would come again and set everything right. And as the priest talked about this passage, he talked about how in our broken world right now, we have all kinds of racial and national and ethnic and even religious differences that separate and divide us. And in the limitations, the biases that our cultures impose upon us, that our religions impose upon us, we can't really see God as he truly is. But one day, this priest emphasized, we will see beyond all these limitations. And when we see beyond these limitations, what we will find is a God of radical inclusivity, radically inclusive, all-embracing, unconditional love. Ultimately, we will see that. And he was kind of beckoning us to start to live that truth right now, to have that vision of who God really is beyond all the different ways that he is construed in the different religions of the world. This is the one thing that they're all leading to, he emphasized. And if we could only grasp that and start to live out of that right now, then we would love each other beyond these differences. We would love like God, and we would be all inclusive and all embracing and unconditionally loving too. But he did want to emphasize that wherever we are in our journey, one day God would get us there. He would get us beyond all these limitations to see who he is in the fullness of his glory, to see this all-inclusive, all-embracing, unconditional love of his, who he truly is. The priest, his impulse to kind of see the different religions of the world as different paths to this same God, is ultimately getting everybody to the same place. That too, like wishing people happy holidays, is a great impulse. Many people share that. There are many people who believe that the different religions are simply equally valid paths to the same God, that ultimately they will get us there. And where they get us is beyond the limitations that all our different religious beliefs impose upon us right now, limit us with right now. But what I couldn't help but notice about that priest's homily is that the beyond that he described, where we're going to get to, the way God really is a God of love, a God of all-inclusive, all-embracing, unconditional love. And what is striking to me about people who believe that the different religions are different paths to the same God is that in virtually every case, with virtually every person who thinks that way or talks that way, the beyond that they describe, the path the God that the different paths are leading to, the different religions are leading to, ultimately they believe in their heart of hearts is a God of love, a God of all-inclusive, all-embracing, unconditional love. And the most striking thing to me when I was studying the world's religions and was very much enamored with several religions other than Christianity, and believed in my heart of hearts that the different religions are simply different paths to the same God. The thing that was most striking to me about that, the thing that I couldn't deny, didn't really want to see it at the time, but couldn't deny, was that only one of those religions actually talked about God this way. Only one of those religions said that God is a God of love, that God actually is love, all-inclusive, all-embracing, unconditional love. And that religion was the religion revealed in Jesus. Jesus was the only major religious figure to teach that way. The other religions really didn't come close for a number of reasons in a number of ways. They only gave a partial glimpse into that reality and emphasized other aspects of the divinity of God. It was only Christianity that said that this is the God that we are going to get to, the God that is beyond. The only Christianity actually captured that, embraced that literally, and Jesus embodied it. What was undeniable to me is that Christianity wasn't just one path among many different religions getting to this reality of God that's beyond. That Christianity, Jesus, was the destination itself. It not just one way to God, but God himself. That all the different other paths are kind of groping towards it in incomplete and partial and limited ways that they're groping to find. If you believe what I used to believe, that the different religions are equal paths to the same God, and that God is clearly a God of unconditional love, a God who is all-inclusive and all-embracing, if that's what you really believe in your heart of hearts, then in some limited way, you actually already believe in the God of Jesus Christ. Now, logically, it only follows that the only way to this God, because Jesus is God, is in and through him. The only way to have a real relationship with this God, a close, personal, eternal relationship with this God, is through Jesus. That's the path to this God. But if you believe in your heart of hearts that God is a God of love, if in this Christmas season, as you're saying happy holidays, the God that you are conceiving of, which most people who believe in God do believe is a God of love, and since most people say, at least in survey after survey, that they believe in God, upwards of 80%, that means the vast majority of people believe that there's a God who is love, this all-embracing, all-inclusive, unconditional love. If that's what you believe in your heart of hearts, then you are well on your way on the path to Jesus Christ, because he is the God that lies beyond all the other limitations that our religions impose. He is the God that they are all in some incomplete, partial ways groping toward. I heard about another great homily that another priest gave a couple of days ago. This homily actually happened at the funeral of his mother. He gave the funeral sermon for his mother. As you can imagine, giving that sermon was a very moving experience, both for him, he was moved by the deepest emotions giving it, as well as the congregation who was listening to it. They were deeply touched. But the priest did something right after his homily that was far more moving than anything he said during the homily. Not everybody noticed it, because it was a small gesture that only a few people seemed to have picked up on. But I was listening to the person talk about what he did. After the homily, he came down out of the pulpit, and he had to cross to the other side of the altar to his presider's chair. He had to cross by his mother's casket. And as he came walking by his mother's casket, he paused for a moment, and in a very soft voice, not for other people to hear, just for his mother, he looked down at the casket and he said, "Thank you. Thank you for a lifetime of love, a lifetime of unconditional love." The reason that impulse to believe that there is a God who is love is so overwhelming in us. The reason, that impulse to believe that God is a God of unconditional, all-embracing, all-inclusive love, the reason that's so overwhelming for us is because love is what means the most to us. It is at the center of human life. It's what moves us most. And so I say to you, in the true spirit of it, Merry Christmas. Because what this season is all about, what it celebrates, is a God, a creator who loves you, no matter who you are, loves everyone, anyone and everyone, loves you so much that he gave up all the prerogatives of heaven, all the privileges of divinity that he had. He gave all that up to become a helpless little baby. Because Christmas celebrates a God who loved you and me so much that he gave all that up to become one of us in order to reveal to us his unconditional love in a way that would move our hearts, stir our hearts, and turn us back to him. So I say to you in that spirit, Merry Christmas, because that's what it's all about. A God who loves each and every one of us that much. A God who would give up heaven's throne for a manger and then ultimately a cross. And everyone can celebrate that. I pray that you have a most blessed Christmas, celebrating the glory, the vision of the glory of the God who loves us this much, the God who came to reveal his love following upon love.